Hey everyone, welcome back to my opinion. This video is going to be what sparked this video is recently I think a court found that Sig Sauer was not responsible, was not liable for the uh, drop safe failures of the Sig P320, and that coincidentally is also the firearm that was bought by the Army, by the military. I believe it was just the Army. I'm not sure. They call it the M17 and the M18. It is basically the Sig P320 in different frame sizes, depending on 17 versus 18. But and the problem with that, for those of you that don't know, the Sig P320 had a drop safe fail problem. And what could happen was you could actually drop the pistol, and if it hit just right on the back end of the slide, the it could actually go off. And there were people who used mallets, rubber mallets, etc., and so forth, hammers, I think, and as well as drops, and showed on YouTube that yeah, it could happen. It's really rare that pistols have that. The thing with the Sig P320 that a lot of people don't realize, that wasn't really a faulty device. It was a bad design. Let me explain. The trigger didn't have any kind, like a Glock has a little trigger on the trigger. Okay, you have to push that in first before the trigger can be pulled back on a Glock. And a lot of other pistols too, the CZ, those line of pistols, some of theirs, the striker fired ones. On a like a Beretta 92 hammer fired guns, you primarily don't have to worry about that, especially if they're the newer guns. An old 38 Special, before they put the trigger blocks in, you might have to. You better be careful with that. But that's why old cowboys kept their hammer down on a empty chamber. But anyway, so the Sig P320, if you dropped it, it would jolt the trigger. It was I had one, loved it, until it came out that they weren't drop safe. Because I'm going to tell you right now, those of you who say, oh, well, just don't drop your gun, you're going to drop your gun. I guarantee, promise you, sooner or later, if you carry it regularly, you will drop that damn gun. And it's going to go sliding into the stall next to you or something like that. But you will drop it, and you will drop it on something hard, pavement, something. It happens. You're ripping your pants down, you got to go to the bathroom, bang, your gun goes and hits the ground. You're like, oh my God, it hit the floor. It's Glock, you're fine. Sig P320, it has to hit just right. It's kind of hard to do, but it was done pretty easily in the videos I watched. If look up those videos, and they were reputable YouTubers, gun tubers, that did that. And yes, it's a bad design. Sig supposedly went back and redesigned that, but I heard there was still problems like that happening even in the military. So I tend to stay away from Sig, period. I had bad experiences with reliability with the Sig P226 I bought, and a 229 also. So, no. Sorry, Sig. But, yeah, I got rid of mine as soon as that. I immediately got rid of it. I just, that was scary. What it is the trigger is very light, and when the gun falls and hits the ground, boom, it causes inertia in the gun. It falls like this. Boom. Okay? That causes the trigger to jolt because it's a very light trigger. Just enough to send that round off. A Glock won't do that because you have to intentionally pull that little dingleberry thing, whatever that dingle switch is, that's on the face of the trigger to make the trigger pull back. You can't do it by dropping it, hitting it, etc. They've tried and tried and tried, and it can't be done. Glock's safe action system is very safe. And remember, the Glock was made for soldiers in Austria who didn't know a whole lot about guns. It had to be simple. It had to be safe because they were, primarily going to be handled by fresh Army recruits. So anybody that's ever been in the military knows what I'm talking about. But, so yeah, the Sig P320 was not liable by a court. Which, okay, brings me to the point of this video, really. The real point is a lot of Democrats want to make gun manufacturers liable they want to make gun manufacturers reliable for people who use them wrong. Like, if someone does a mass shooting, they want to be able to sue Daniel Defense, for example, if it was an AR-15, which I think Daniel Defense is being sued frivolously. Because if you can sue a gun manufacturer, Smith & Wesson, Daniel Defense, Glock, because somebody took their Glock, a Glock 17, Glock 19, AR-15, into a school, whatever, a Walmart, whatever, and shot up a bunch of people, that's no more Glock's fault than it is Ford's fault for DUIs and drive-bys, etc. Okay? Someone has a traffic violation, they run a red light because Ford goes too fast, they sue Ford. That's silly. It's frivolous. Okay? And I agree with that 110%. But, personally, my opinion, I think for the bad design, that even though it wasn't a faulty gun, it's not faulty on the Sig P320, because it is doing what it's intended to do, and that's probably where the lawyers for Sig were probably very good and were able to reiterate that point. The gun did do what it's supposed to do. It's a light trigger, and it did go off when activated. Just because a finger didn't activate it doesn't mean it's faulty. Personally, I wish Sig would have lost. I think Sig is responsible because it's a bad design. And maybe another lawsuit will come out where they'll tackle it at the right angle. This lawsuit may not have been handled very well and probably was kind of like, what's his name, the kid, Kenosha, Wisconsin. I forget his name now. But where that lawyer that was the prosecuting attorney tried to, just didn't know anything about firearms, especially our AR-15s, and just made a fool of himself. Probably very similar to that. But you get another team of lawyers who know guns a little better, and they go at the right angle, saying that, no, the gun did do what it was supposed to do. We agree. However, it shouldn't have done what it was supposed to do. It's a faulty design. And then go after Sig for that. Now, I know many of you are saying, what are you saying? Don't give them any ideas. But here's my point. Here's my reasoning behind this. I don't want gun manufacturers to be responsible for some idiot that uses it in a shooting or drive-bys or gang violence or robbing a bank or whatever. That's ridiculous. That's like suing Ford for DUIs. But I do want them to be held responsible for a bad design that's unsafe. or a faulty design that's unsafe, whatever you want to call it. And I wish Sig would have lost that, because it would have told the other manufacturers, hey, be more careful, take more pride, watch what you're doing, think about things before you put that on the shelf. And some 21-year-old buys his first gun, and of course, as we're all going to do, if you haven't done it already, I guarantee, I promise you, remember this video when you do it, you will drop your gun. Like, share, and subscribe. Thanks a lot, guys. Be safe and stay safe.